Good evening, councillors and members in the public gallery. I will officially open this evening's ordinary council meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you for your attendance tonight. I'd like to remind everyone in the chambers to ensure that comments are respectful to the council and all meeting attendees, including city officers and those in our public gallery. Please note this meeting is being live streamed. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay our respects to elders, past, present and emerging. Item 3 is announcements from the presiding member. As this is our last council meeting for the year, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all councillors and staff for their dedication and service throughout the year. Your commitment to our community is greatly appreciated. As we enter the festive season, I wish everyone a safe, happy and restful holiday period, and I look forward to working with you all in the new year. Item 4 is attendance. Councillor Ostaszewski is on approved leave of absence and all other councillors are present in the chamber this evening. Applications for leave of absence. Any councillors wish to apply? No? So we'll now move on to item 5, which is disclosures of interest. George Rimpus, as Acting Director, Infrastructure and Assets, has an impartiality interest to disclose in relation to item 14.1.1. George?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I advise that I know the owner of the land for many years, previously growing up and via family relations. I have an impartial interest and have not been involved in this report and past reports, and I will leave the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Any councillors? Deputy Mayor?
Yes, item 10.5.1.3.2, policy childcare premises. I have an impartial interest. I am a member of the Bayswater Childcare Association board. So I will stay in the room. I have another impartial on item 10.4.2, the Australia Day Awards. I know some of the nominees through my work as a councillor. Thank you.
And you'll be staying in the room. Councillor Ladder.
Thank you. On 10.1.1 Economic Development Strategy, I have an impartial interest, probably actually an interest in common, but an impartial interest because I have a business in the district. And on 10.4.2 Australia Day Awards, I have an impartial interest because I know some of the nominees through my work as a councillor, and one nominee I have an association with through their volunteer work outside of my councillor role, both impartial, and I will stay in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have 2 declarations tonight. Item number 10.4.2, Australia Day Awards. I'm friends with people who have both been nominated and those who have nominated others. It is an impartial interest and I'll be staying in the room. And on item 10.5.1.3.1, new local planning policy, short-term rental accommodation and guidelines. One of my clients has a financial interest in this item. It is an indirect financial interest and I will be leaving the room.
Thank you. Anyone else have an interest? Councillor Pittaway.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have 2. One is relevant to 10.5.1.3.2. It's an impartiality interest. I am a committee member of the Bayswater Childcare Association and I'll stay in the room for that one. The other one is a direct financial interest, which relates to item number 10.1.2, the lease of premises on 14 King William Street. I have sold some Bendigo Bank community shares to one of the interested parties, so I will have to leave the room for that one.
So that's financial interest in that one?
Financial interest in that one, yes, correct.
So you'll be leaving?
I'll be leaving the room for that motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Sutherland.
Yes, for item 10.1.2, expression of interest, lease of premises. I know some of the applicants, but it's an impartial interest.
And you'll be staying in the room. Okay. Anyone else? I'll declare an interest in item 10.1.2, expression of interest, lease of premises, 14 King William Street, Bayswater. One of the applicants is Bayswater Traders Association, and in my role as mayor, I've had dealings with them. It's an impartial interest, and I'll be staying in the room. And the other one is 10.4.2, Australia Day Awards, Citizen of the Year and Outstanding Women in Leadership 2025. Again, some of the nominees I know through the course of my role as mayor. It's an impartial interest, and I'll be staying in the room. Anyone else? If not, we'll move on to item 6, which is public question time. So, councillors, the city has received questions in writing from 2 members of the public this evening. The questions and responses are listed in your run sheet, and I'll take those as read. The questions and responses are also available on the city's website and will be provided in the minutes for this meeting. Members of the gallery, I'll now call for questions on items on this evening's agenda, and then I will open to questions on items not on the agenda. Please provide your name and suburb before you ask your question, and keep in mind that you are limited to 3 questions. Are there any questions on items on this evening's agenda? Please come forward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name's Gerard Wybanger. I live in Sopwith Elbow in Maylands. My question relates to agenda item 10.4.1. And the question is, can the director confirm both the geotech report and the engineer's wall report both certify that the site and the lake walls can adequately and safely support 2 lots of 3-storey dwellings?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the question. The applicant has engaged a structural engineer who attended the site and conducted an assessment of the wall and sent through a report that confirmed that the proposal, as presented on the agenda tonight, could be accommodated, and that information has been circulated to councillors. The geotechnical report is something that is much more detailed and happens as part of the building permit stage, and that happens as a normal course of action for all builds across Western Australia.
Thank you. So just to clarify, you actually don't have a geotech report, is that correct?
I'll go to the director to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I haven't seen a geotech that they could have one. The owners could have one. The State of Western Australia, through the Building Act, now allows for private certification to occur, and so it's not necessary that we would have that. But as I say, a geotech normally comes after a development application has been determined.
Did you have a further question? Please come forward.
Given the concerns over from 50 residents via 2 petitions, I think some of you have read these petitions, can the councillors themselves please confirm they have been provided with these 2 reports? Well, actually, it's only now 1 report, not 2. And they've been given sufficient time to ask any questions and have these these reports or this report reviewed to their satisfaction before they vote on this issue tonight.
So I'll respond to that in terms of the timing. I can speak for myself. We have been given the same amount of time to consider this item as we have for any other planning item, which I do consider sufficient, and have all the information that we've requested from the officers. Would anyone else like to come forward and ask a question on this evening's agenda?
Madam Mayor, councillors, my name's Peter Robinson. I live in Maylands. My item is relating to item 10.4.1, and I'm referring my question in relation to an email that your Mayor, received in answer to concerns that have been raised in reference to building this building within 4 metres of the Lake Brearley. The reply from the planning officer was, claims that this proposal is unprecedented are therefore not supported by the existing development pattern. The officer also says there's 46 properties on the lake, which is not exactly correct. The MREDP refers to lakes backing directly onto Lake Brearley. And in fact, there's only 25 of these properties. All the rest are Tura Court and have a 2-metre pathway around them. So given that, would the officer advise which property has a building, not structures or pools, as they infer, that has been approved by the city and constructed within the 4-metre setback?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor. A desktop investigation was carried out by staff in response to statements about the existing context and character of the area and whether or not development had occurred within 4 metres of the wall. It was evident that there was a substantial number of properties that back onto the lake that have development within that 4 metres, and this is in the context of the concern of the wall, including swimming pools, below ground swimming pools, and of various structures. So that was done through aerial mapping, and it did show that there were a number of structures. We didn't go and look at every single building permit, that's just too resource intensive for the time that we had available, and it's not really relevant to go and do that level of work, because that established character, or that character had been established through desktop analysis.
Thank you. Did you have another question, Mr. Robinson?
Can I just sort of clarify something, Madam Mayor?
Go ahead.
If I read the Maylands Residential Estate Design Policy, it says lot boundary setbacks, buildings, which are set back in accordance with the following provisions. And they don't mention pools. Pool's not a building when I went to school. Or structures. A building is a house. It's a place where you reside. So I don't think that the director has quite answered the question. Is there a property within that scope, a building, and not a pool? I know there's a lot of pools and structures that have gone within the 4 metre. I have a pool there. But this particular place has a building that has a second floor that overhangs and goes out past the 4 metres to 3.1 metres from the fence. So that's, and he's saying that is, I'm saying it's unprecedented, and he's saying it's not unprecedented.
So I'll go back to the director to see if he has the actual number of the property, the address of the property, if there is a property. I'm not sure if he'll have that information, but I'll go back to the director.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. And through you, it's important that we go back to the context of the point and the question, and the concern was raised into the structural ability of the wall to accommodate development. So that was the main, that was the context of which that research was looking at. So yes, there are a number of structures, and including pools, that are in that area that would be placing load on the wall. So the purpose of the exercise was to demonstrate that, yes, you can have development closer to 4 metres. The other part of it was around character, and through that exercise it was established that we looked at an aggregate. We didn't go down to looking at each and every single individual approvals, as I was saying. We looked at an aggregate to establish that the context of the area for comparison with the proposal, and it was concluded that this proposal is in keeping with the context and character that is established in the area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Director. My second question is basically to all councillors, and having heard what the Director says and having read everything that's been put out on emails and that, and I appreciate there's a lot, and I see the size of this agenda. Are you satisfied in your heart that this is fit, it sits well, it's sound, and has been established in the Peninsula Estate in accordance with the original councillor's intentions?
Thank you for your question, and I'll can only answer that. That will be part of councillors' deliberations this evening when we debate the item. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah. Aviv Silman, Naranda. I have a question about 10.1.1. Why do you even bother to make a nod in your report to the UN Sustainable Development Goals? Well, I mean, isn't that, I mean, did the council even have a part in making those goals? Why are we even making a nod to them? Like, did it help anyone to include that in the report?
Thank you for your question, and I'll go to the CEO to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the reference to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are made because they support the intent of the actual strategy in terms of creating jobs, enhancing services, and you'll also see in the Sustainable Development Goals numbers 8, 9, 11 and 12 that there's actually linkages back to the objectives of the strategy. So that's just providing the support for that in terms of that reference.
So you didn't actually plan this report around the goals were just nodded to later.
I'll go to the CEO to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, you're correct. We didn't plan the report around those goals, but there is natural linkages and the officers have made those linkages within the strategy, just for reference.
Okay. Lastly, with 10.4.1, just hypothetically, what would be the consequences if the lake wall did break? Would it be ecological, or would it be like really expensive to fix? What would happen in the hypothetical, which
Thank
I
you
imagine, yeah.
for your question, and I'll go to the director to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I think first preference is make sure that the wall doesn't break. The city does conduct, my understanding is the city does conduct regular maintenance and checks to ensure that that asset is in good condition and to avoid damaging or causing any issue to it in the first place at all. Hypothetically, if it was damaged, yeah, there would need to be a clean-up for the lake and the wall and a repair, but that's just all hypothetically, so I can't really answer that question.
those are all the questions I have. So.
Thank you. Anyone else, please come forward.
This is Kianya from the suburb of Maylands. Just two questions. One is a bit of a follow-up from Jared. So basically, we understand that the lake wall report is available. The geotech report will be available later, as you said, in the building stage. Are we able to get copies of that, the lake wall first, and also the geotech report when it's available?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Okay, I've got a second question. Should I
We'll,
ask
we'll
later?
just
Okay.
we'll answer this one first.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It's important to understand that these reports are engaged by the owner and paid for by the owner. They don't belong to the city to hand out, so they're private property for the purpose of seeking approval. So they're not available. What I can say is that they have been the engineer's report has been reviewed by staff and has been confirmed as being satisfactory to what it says.
I understand that the Freedom of Information, can we actually using that get those reports?
I'll go to the director to respond.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, the Freedom of Information Act exists for public to seek information through those channels. Should you wish, that is available to you.
So is the answer yes or the answer no?
So the freedom of information application will be made to the city, well, can be made to the city,
Yep.
and then it'll be up to the freedom of information officer to assess against the Act what information can or cannot be released.
Okay. My second question then is in response to the planning officer's review. You mentioned that 32 Twirl Court was actually approved, and you said it was a 3-story building. My understanding is 3-story buildings are not allowed in R40 codes, so I'm just wondering why it was approved.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and through you. So that understanding is incorrect. The way the R codes work is there are 2 pathways of assessment. You can have one pathway, where there is a prescribed number. In this case, in R40, the deemed to comply is 2 stories. But there's also the design principles, which is a merit-based assessment process. So if you are more than 2 stories, a landowner can seek assessment under the design principles. So you can have a 3-story or higher story building in an R40 code. You just have to be assessed through the merit-based design principle pathway.
Okay, as a follow-up question, it says that I'm looking at the R codes for building height itself. So you mentioned about design principles. So the first thing it says is building height, build and scale is appropriate to the existing and desired landscape of the existing local character. That's the first one. Second part, building height is considered to the impact of the amenity of the adjoining property and the existing streetscape. Given what we know about the 3 stories and what this is mentioned in the 2 design principles, we're just trying to understand from your perspective why it actually meets those design principles.
Thank you for your question. My understanding is the property is 2 stories, but I'll go to the director to respond.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. You're correct. It is defined under the R codes as 2 stories, so it meets the deemed to comply for the number of stories. The maximum or the deemed to comply height limit is 10 metres, and this building sits at 9.2 metres. So it's well within the deemed to comply total height limit. So the design principles for building height don't apply because it's well within the deemed to comply standards.
Yes, building height, but what about the stories though? It's 3 stories.
You've had 3 questions,
Okay.
but I will just answer that.
Yep.
Again, last week at the deputations and tonight, the director has confirmed that according to the regulations, it is a 2-story property with a loft. It is not considered a 3-story property.
Okay, fine. Just only one follow-up question. Final one. Then why is it considered 3 stories when the director said this is a full 3-story building? That's all.
I just want to clarify, the director has not said it's a 3-story building. It is a 2-story building with a loft, and that is compliant from what the director said. So I'll leave it at that. Does anyone else have any questions on items? Please come forward.
Hi everyone, how's it going? My name is Vanessa Hondras and I live in Bayswater. And my questions relate to item 10.1.2, the EOI for 14 King William Street. I would just like to ask if anybody here can confirm the dollar amount of the outgoings for the building.
Thank you for your question. The amount for the outgoings of the building.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that unless the manager is.
It'd be paid by the tenant.
Is there any way of accessing that record? Because we were asked to put in an expression of interest for a building for like a commercial lease without knowledge of how much it would cost at all.
I'll go to the manager of strategic planning.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the previous tenant paid those directly to the utility providers. We didn't have access to those records as they were private to the previous tenant.
Okay, okay. And I have another question about that building. So the council owns that building. It's it's a heritage
Correct.
property.
Correct.
So what is the scope of the council's responsibility to make that building accessible to people living with a disability?
I'll go to, I'm not sure which direction. Do you mean making it, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so what's the scope of the council if they own the building? What's their responsibility to make that building accessible to people living with a disability to either visit the building, use the building, or work in the building?
Well, I guess it depends who's running the building. If it's negotiated between the tenant and the owner of the building, but I'll go to the CEO.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, my understanding, but I'll be happy to take it on notice to provide clarity after the meeting, but my understanding is that when an application comes forward to upgrade the building, so potentially putting an extension on, say, hypothetically, then you would have to go back and retrospectively refit the building to conform to the building standards required for disability access of today. However, I don't think there's a requirement to go back and retrospectively do that if you haven't done an enhancement to the building. But I will take that on notice and get clarification for the Deputy in relation to that.
That'd be great. And because I've never been or spoken at a meeting before, then how do I find that out? Or will you contact me? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We got Vanessa's details.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, everyone. Tyler Wood, Bayswater resident, Deputy Chair of the BTA, one of the applicants for item 10.1.2. We had some concerns, and I shared an email with you, all of you, yesterday, as the whole group of the applicants had some concerns around the tendering process and the appropriateness of the commercial lease. So my question is around, did you guys have any questions around the email that I sent through? And we're quite concerned with going ahead with a commercial opportunity and wasting a lot of the occupancy and process for the year that it would be out to there.
Thank you for your question. We did, I can't speak for other councillors, but I did ask, following receipt of your email, I did ask for more information regarding your concerns from the administration, and a memo was sent out to all councillors today. You all got the memo? Yeah. Addressing the points in your email. So the administration have responded to those.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I guess the proponents are concerned about going with a commercial lease and not having the opportunity or wasting a fair bit more time. So, thank you for consideration.
I'll go to the CEO and ask if he wants to add anything to that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, as you indicated, the administration did send out a memorandum today addressing the points that you made within your email. One of the concerns I understand was around the timing. One of the things that we did say is that we believe that we'd be able to advertise in January, February, so early in the new year, and that process could take as quick as maybe March to April to come back, or as long as May, June. So we're very hopeful that shortest period of time would be 3 to 4 months, longest period of time 5 to 6 months. But it certainly would be something that we would look at getting out within January once we come back after the New Year break.
Thank you. I guess hearing from Vanessa, you can hear concerns with around actually accessing enough information to put together a commercial process and a commercial proposal within that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question? Jared, I'm just going to, how many questions? I can't remember if you asked me 2 or 3.
I can't remember. 2.
You asked 2? Okay, you've got one more.
I forgot the question now. I'll take that on notice and I'll come back.
No problem. Anybody else have a question on an item on the agenda? Please come forward.
Thank you. My name's Bob Johnson. I live at 4 Sopwith Elbow in Maylands. 4 is one of the 3 houses just as you come in off Clarkson.
Sorry, but do you mind if I ask you just to move? Yeah, thank you.
And it's called an elbow because it's sort of bent. and then there's a cul-de-sac down the end where this proposal under 10.4.1. Now, I'm a late comer to this. And I sent out an email to the councillors, or to Natalie, and then copied to the councillors yesterday. And I was mulling on it overnight, so I sent another one out today expressing those concerns. I certainly haven't expected a reply. It's a busy time for you. I get that. I just want to ask one question that relates to the hazard that's likely to be caused by the overflow parking to do with the development. It's 8 bedrooms, and it reminds me of a couple of rentals in that long part of the elbow, which are also rented out by the bedroom. So there's a lot of cars there. The other reason I sent out another email this morning was to put in a photo I took this morning while walking the dog on our morning constitutional. There was 3 cars in that cul-de-sac. Now, Gerard had already popped a photo in one of his submissions showing the rubbish truck not being able to turn because one car was there. There was 3 cars there, and they come from a place about four blocks up from the end of the cul-de-sac, and they come from there because there's just no other parking where they live. Overflow parking has been a considerable problem for some time now, and this development's not going to improve it. So what bothers me is primarily getting emergency vehicles in. If someone has an accident in their house or is unwell, or if a fire breaks out, there's just no way, as I demonstrated in another one of my photos in today's email, there's no way of getting a fire brigade vehicle in there. The other potential fire risk is from the build-up of understory. When I walk around with my little pooch going down the path towards the golf club there, on the side that faces the police there, it's a considerable build-up and has been for some years. And between the path and the lake, same. The council did a terrific job recently, the last year, on clearing out a lot of that. But trees are trees, they grow and they drop more. Summers are getting hotter. It feels to me just a matter of time before we're going to have an event there. I don't scare easily, but that spooks me. So my question is, before voting on this proposal, will the councillors please drive on down there, walk down that pathway, have a look in the build-up and make their own judgment as to the level of that hazard I'm describing before they vote?
Thank you for your question. The item is being considered this evening, so I can't...
Well, you may want to defer it because really we feel lonely down there. We rarely see a councillor. Saw Ellie just before the election, but it's a rare old occasion. It's like the end of the line.
Well, I
no
can
one's
tell
been
you
down-
Councillor Pittaway was there today. I can tell you that. I'm not sure about anybody else today, but he was definitely there today.
I am deeply heartened. Thank you very much.
But it will be considered tonight. In regards, I heard 2 questions there. I heard overflow parking is one, and then you're talking about the undergrowth. That's around the pathway.
The overflow parking is a statement. That was the
Okay,
question.
so no question around that. But the undergrowth that you're talking about, that's not being considered tonight with this application. It's the
Okay, well, that's
development
up to you.
application.
The point I'm making is the hazard caused by overflow parking, and that can cause from people being damaged in their houses, fire in their houses, fire from the undergrowth, because the wind will blow that way.
Oh, okay.
So it's a general hazard caused by overflow parking.
Understood. So councillors will take your comments on board and form that as part of their considerations for this evening.
All right, you may want to defer until you walk the ground.
That may be a motion. I'm not sure.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. You remembered?
Yes, I think I remember. Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Mayor. Councillor Pittaway, if you had have come down Sopwith Avenue, there's beer in the fridge in every house.
It was warm today. He would have appreciated that.
So my question relates around what our friend at the back here raised about the integrity of the wall, and hopefully it doesn't break. under the force of the 2 lots of 3-storey buildings. And rightfully, the chairman noted that you'd want to make sure that it doesn't break before you start building. So my question again is, wouldn't you want to get that geotech report now before you make this decision? Because that's a critical part of the puzzle. You don't have it, and this is a unique situation. I understand it's a part of the building process. However, this is different. This is not a normal block. This block, in fact, all the blocks around the lake are built on an old clay pit, and that clay was used to make the bricks. It's not a normal situation. If you're putting 2 lots of 3-storey houses on this block of dirt that was built by a multi-millionaire developer who ensured he did the cheapest job for the biggest profit, I think you want to really, really just consider, you'd want to get the geotech report first. So my question to you is, could you please consider getting a geotech report done first? Because this is your insurance policy. And it's our insurance policy too, because we stand to lose. And as our friend in the back said before, like, what happens if that wall breaks? It's not going to look pretty.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I'm going to go to the director to see if he can respond to those concerns.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, the landowner has gone above and beyond to engage a structural engineer to come out and physically, attend the site, assess the site, look at the wall, look at the soil, look at the design, and confirm in writing that it's capable of accommodating the proposed development. That report has been reviewed by city officers who are qualified engineers, and they agree and conclude with the findings. As I've said earlier, the geotechnical report is a document that is required as part of a building permit. It's to do with the construction of the development once it's been approved through the development application process.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on an item on this evening's agenda? No? Are there any questions on items not on this evening's agenda? Please come forward.
Yes, I'm Malcolm Guy in Edward Street in Bedford. Over many years, the parking and the speed of cars going down to Chisholm College has been horrific. We've complained about it for about 5 years, and we get fobbed off and fobbed off. Now, we just got a parking fine for $100 because I put my car across the road to slow the traffic down. And some of those cars are doing well over 60 going down there to drop their kids off in the morning. Now, because it's a cul-de-sac, it's becoming an extension of a parking bay for Chisholm College. Now, we've gone through the ranges many times. I've heard it's with engineering. We'll send rangers out. After 5 years, we're getting a little bit tired of the excuses. Now, very easy to fix, like they did in Lawrence Street, no standing all the way. Because it's on a crest of a hill, it would be a very easy fix, but we don't know why. Is it something to do with Chisholm to allow them to have the overflow? Because they did put a parking bay in there, but it hasn't made it any better. It's actually made it worse. They've forced them all into Edward Street. So I think the council, we just want a bit of a longer term solution. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. And just to clarify, your query relates to Edward Street in Bedford.
Yes.
So I'll just go to our acting director to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the chair, look, we're happy to look at it in detail, and I know that they have looked at it in the past with the rangers. Always is not an easy fix around schools, but we'll take on board your concerns and we'll get back to you in writing, sir.
That's fine, but you've extended that school so many times without putting parking as part of the development process. They bought blocks of land and put a big new building without any additional parking. So you just can't keep building and building without having some feedback to the parking issues. Now, all schools have it, but it should be incorporated into the design when you allow these, additional buildings to go in the school. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just come and grab the details from you. Does anyone else have a question not on this evening's agenda? No? Okay. So we'll move on then to item 7, which is confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover and seconder to confirm the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting of the 18th of November 2025? Move Councillor Latta, seconded Councillor Loiacono. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Item 8 is presentations. And Deputy Mayor, do you have a petition to table?
Yes, I do. So the petition is with regards to item 10.4.1 with regards to 24 Sopwith Elbow Maylands. So I'll first read some part of the petition, Madam Mayor. We, the residents of the Peninsula Estate in Maylands, as electors of the district, formally petitioned the Council of the City of Bayswater to oppose the current development application at 24 Sopwith Elbow Maylands. This petition lists our concerns as residents who will be directly impacted by this development. And it is a very comprehensive petition with a lot of material, so I won't read it. And what I do need to move is this. This petition was received during the local government election caretaker period and was submitted directly to city officers for inclusion in the preparation of this report. The petition is now being formally tabled for Council's consideration as part of its deliberations on this item tonight, the one that I mentioned. Thank you.
And you're moving it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Latta. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour to accept? That is unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll get that petition, or you've already provided a copy, Deputy? Yeah, they have a copy. Okay, great. And Councillor Black?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have 2 petitions this evening. I'll read one out and then I'll read the other one out. Thank you. That's how it works. This petition has been in regards to the proposed footpath for Holly Street, Bayswater. It contains 18 signatures and it is presented in the following terms. Dear Mayor Pifferetti, we respectfully request that the proposed footpath on Holly Street, Bayswater not be constructed and that alternatives be explored to enhance accessibility for active transport users. Residents previously provided feedback in response to the City of Bayswater letter dated 19th of August 2025. The wording of that letter indicated the footpath was scheduled for construction in 2025-26, which led residents to believe the project was confirmed and could not be opposed. As a result, the feedback at that time, including the petition, focused on reducing the width of the footpath rather than opposing its construction. Now that residents understand the footpath is still a proposal, we wish to formally oppose its construction. Would you like me to continue reading this, Madam Mayor, or would you?
No, that's fine.
That's fine, thank you.
Yes. So what we'll do is we'll take that, we'll get a mover and seconder for this one first and vote on that, and then we'll go to the second one.
Thank you.
So you're moving it. Do I have a seconder, Councillor McDonald? All those in favour of accepting? That is unanimous. So we have a copy of that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. And now the second one.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a petition titled Support for Proposed Holly Street Footpath. It contains 3 signatures and is tabled in the following terms. We, the undersigned, support the reduced width footpath to Holly Street currently being proposed by the City. We believe it will add greater amenity to the street and improve accessibility and safety. We commend the City for initiating this proposal.
Sorry, can you just repeat how many signatories?
3 signatures, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. You're moving it.
Same.
Seconded, Councillor McDonald. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. Those are tabled.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. I didn't mention that on the petition that I tabled 53 signatures as part of the petition.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to presentations. There are none this evening. Deputations were heard at last week's agenda briefing forum. Delegates report. We have one this evening. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is just in regards to certificates training undertaken under the Local Government Act as a requirement of my election. That new members must complete within 12 months, understanding local government and conflicts of interest. There's nothing more to say besides it was a well-run training session with good facilitators, and for all new members, I do recommend attending these in person. It was very valuable.
Right. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Latta, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, item 9 is method of dealing with agenda business, and Councillor Latta will be pulling first this evening.
Thank you. I will pull 10.1.1, 10.1.2, 10.4.1, and 10.5.1.3.
Do you mean, can you just say that one again?
The short-term rental accommodation policy.
10.5.1.3.1. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sutherland. Councillor Pittaway. Councillor Loiacono. Councillor McDonald. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 10.3.1, Place-Based Plan Review 2025-28.
Great. Deputy Mayor. Okay, so can I please have a mover and seconder to bring forward items 10.1.2 and 10.4.1, which were subject to deputations? Move Councillor Latta, seconded Councillor Black. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. However, I'd also like to ask if I could have a mover and a seconder to move discussion of item 10.4.2, which is the Australia Day Awards, to the beginning of section 14, so that the confidential attachment can be discussed behind closed doors prior to consideration of item 14.1.1. Move Councillor Latta, seconded Councillor Black. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to begin with item 10.1.2, which is expression of interest, lease of premises 14 King William Street, Bayswater. Councillor Latta, you've pulled this, and I will just remind you that there is a confidential attachment. So if you are going to discuss that, we will need to close the doors.
Thank you.
Are you moving your amendment?
I don't
Just a
think
quick-
I have one on that.
Madam Mayor, just a quick one. Do I need to leave the room? Because I had a declaration of interest.
Yes,
Sorry.
thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I will be moving the officer's recommendation.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I was reading the wrong thing. So you're moving it, the officer's recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Black, Councillor Latta.
Thank you. I think that this is a real signature property, actually in the whole district of the city of Bayswater, and the value that the previous tenant Bendigo Bank brought to the whole district is actually a bit immeasurable. The investment in our community that led from their place in the centre of our district is actually really important. And what I would like to see is something of a similar calibre coming into the city that can help drive future development and be a bit of a linchpin in the middle of the Bayswater town centre. I am excited to see if there are others out there that want to invest in the city in this way through this property. However, I'm also willing to consider the applications that have come through in that future process should they be competitive against those, and should the EYs that come through a commercial real estate agency don't satisfy what we want to see. I do think that there is value in the proposals that came through the city's EOI process, but I don't feel like they quite hit what I was hoping for, what I was hoping to see for that particular property. It really is like a unique property in the whole city, and I want to see it utilised in a special way.
Thank you. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm glad to second this motion for the officer's recommendation. I think I'd like to start by saying that I do think that the three applicants of the original EOI, they had some excellent proposals, but I think I would like to see this sent out to a commercial real estate agency to see what can come back. I also would be interested to see the original applicants reapply under that process as well, and I'd like to explore those options. I'm not necessarily concerned about the time taken as part of this process. I do believe that this property holds quite a special place in a lot of people's hearts in Bayswater. It's heritage listed. It's quite prominent. It's something that we all think about when we think about the Bayswater Town Centre. It is the kingpin down there. So I just want to make sure that we've just approaching this through proper procedure, that we're assessing all options available to us. I would be keen to explore those applications who did apply previously as part of that process, but keen to see what else comes through this process as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Go ahead, Deputy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to speak probably in favour. First, a question through you, Madam Mayor, to the officers, whether the applicants through the current process will be able to submit applications as part of the new process, and specifically the Bayswater Traders Association.
Thank you for your question, and I will go to the CEO to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, they will be able to resubmit, but Council, if you wanted to, you could make that clear by including that wording within the recommendation, but they will be welcome to resubmit as part of that process.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so I'll just say a few words. I do agree. It is a unique and prominent building, and it is an opportunity for us to do something that will hopefully help to lift up the Bayswater the Bayswater Town Centre, because it does need, I think, some more effort to help activating the town centre now when the train station has been completed. And from what I heard, this is the work that the Bayswater Traders Association did with community members to come up with a vision and ideas. So I was quite intrigued by their vision and see if they can even collaborate with the other applicants. And I was considering options to give them more time for those applicants to work together. However, I received advice from the city before the meeting that can be problematic from a process point of view, because it might require changing the submissions, and it might drag the decision by council just on this process to February. So on that basis, I think if we hear that between March and June anyway, we will finalize this process, and they can re-participate. So on that basis, I will support what is on the table, and encourage the existing applicants to collaborate, hopefully. I would like to see something that will help the activation of the town centre. As I mentioned, it's not just, for me, a normal lease of a building in the city. I would be looking at something else. So that's just my initial comments for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Sutherland?
No, I haven't got much else to say. I'd like to thank the applicants that came last week. They all had a good reason for this property. It is close to the city, close to the train station, in a prime location, and as Councillor Latta said, it is one of the unique buildings in that area. So I think we'd give it a try and see what comes up.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll just say I agree with most of the comments tonight, but I just want to make a comment that in respect to the deputation that we received last week from Greg Derui representing the BTA, just reminding that a lot of work went into a rebranding about the Bayswater Bridge District. So when we say Bayswater Town Centre, the traders in there are doing a campaign to refer to it as Bayswater Bridge district. So just shouting that out. Anyone else wish to speak on this? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you. I guess I'd just reiterate what other people have said, that I did find the EOI applications intriguing, and I fully support those ideas in that area. I just am not sure that this building specifically, that it fulfills its potential. So I'm interested to see if there is another proposal that can more fully fulfil that potential. But I do hope that either these applicants get together and put something through this commercial process, or that they find other properties in the area and can contribute in that way.
Thank you. I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. We'll get Councillor Pittaway in. For your information, Councillor Pittaway, the officer's recommendation was adopted unanimously. So we now move on to item 10.4.1, proposed 2 group dwellings, lot 324, 24 Sopwith Elbow, Maylands. Councillor Latta, you've pulled this one, and are you moving the officer's recommendation with an amendment?
Yes.
So councillors, you've all been provided a copy of that? Yep. Okay, so we'll get that up on the screen, and then I'll see if there's a seconder. Okay. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Black, Councillor Latta.
Thank you. Sorry, I just can't see where the...
Number 15, it should be.
Thank you.
There we go.
Just for the public's information, the condition that is added is that the approved loft is only to be used as a loft under the R codes, and no alteration, conversion, fit out or use of the loft for any purpose other than a loft is permitted under this approval. This is not really a new condition. It is what is already kind of contained within the R codes, but I have made it explicit to provide additional reassurance over that. I've received a large number of phone calls from people in the community and quite a few emails that I think all councillors have also received, and I have a lot of sympathy for residents who do not like this development. What I don't have are planning grounds to refuse it. Every single councillor in the whole of the state has a responsibility for helping the community to develop a sophisticated understanding of the planning system, and I hope that all councillors can try to contribute to that. I personally won't always make decisions that everybody in the community likes, but I will always discharge my obligation to make fair and impartial decisions in the interest of the district as a whole, and I will never mislead the public about the basis of those decisions. The reality is that we have a legislative requirement to apply our planning framework and assess a development on planning grounds, regardless of our opinions on it, regardless of the opinions of other people on it, and our decision-making power is circumscribed by this. We have seen other councils around the state take a more political and populist approach to planning matters, discarding their primary obligation of quasi-judicial decision-making on planning matters. It's a tempting pathway to appease upset people and build political support, but it comes with grave consequences. It brings the district into disrepute, and actually it brings the whole sector into disrepute. It destroys a reputation as a place to invest and build, and leads to a progressive loss of planning control as the state government gives up on relying on local councils to faithfully fulfil our obligations. I would love to see councillors educating the public about how planning works. I understand that it can seem complicated and that it can be frustrating to see developments go through that you may not personally like. But we as a local government decide through our planning scheme and other instruments which rules apply in which places, and that is the level at which we shape our neighbourhoods. We cannot set those rules and then pull the rug out from under the feet of those who seek to develop within those rules. In the R codes, there are two pathways for assessment. It's a slight oversimplification because there's a couple of exceptions, but for an application like this, if an applicant meets the strict numbers of the deemed to comply provisions, then it should be approved. If it does not, then it can be assessed under design principles. These are not airy discretions, but are also specified in the R codes, and the city planners make a merit-based assessment about whether the application meets those principles. This application largely meets the first, the deemed to comply provisions. There are some small elements that have had a merit-based assessment. We are talking about a small number of square metres of upper storey overhang, a wall height of a few dozen centimetres above the deemed to comply provisions. These are small and reasonable assessments. In this particular case, I sympathise with those who are frustrated that they had to develop within the guidelines of the developer covenant and this applicant does not. But that is the reality. Areas evolve, the covenant has expired and sadly is long gone. The R codes take precedence. I can assure the public that I have gone through all of the information that has been sent through, sought additional advice from the city which has been provided to all councillors, but I did not find any planning grounds to refuse this application. It is well within what is allowable and I will be supporting this motion, fulfilling the duty I signed up for.
Thank you. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm seconding the motion of the officer's recommendation with the amendment moved by Councillor Ladder. I think Councillor Ladder had made some excellent points in regards to the role of councillors in general, and we complete our roles in a quasi-judicial form as well. I thank all the residents who have sent emails to councillors. Please be assured that in the time that we have, I've read them and looked at them and looked for planning provisions that we can apply in this situation, engage with city officers as well to consider those comments that you have made. But unfortunately, it looks like that I'm relatively satisfied that it does comply with the R codes, either through deemed to comply or the design principles. The R codes are horribly complicated piece of documents. They're clear as mud, especially as an architecture student studying them for 6 years. You never understand them. It is difficult for anyone to understand them, let alone a builder or a developer. But through the assistance of going through these codes, applying the information that we have received from the developer, from the city, especially after last week's meeting where we have requested updates and those updates have been received by councillors and we've been able to go through the R codes ourselves, I'm quite satisfied that it does comply with those either deemed to comply or where applicable, the design principles do come in and we can assess them according to those. I would like to share that sentiment that Councillor Ladder shared, that sometimes we have to approve things that we don't necessarily like. And while I'm not suggesting that in this case that is the case, but it's only, I think, last month where we went through a similar process as well in council. These aren't easy decisions, and I think, unfortunately, the public don't have a full understanding of we are bound by the acts that we are signed up for when we sign that form, and part of that is taking a quasi-judicial approach, and I apologise for saying that word again. So I support the officer's recommendation with the amendment, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I will not support this application and I will foreshadow the alternative that I provided in the run sheet, which specifies some of the reasons for refusal. Let's talk about the specifics, and I'll just give 2 examples. Rear setback for the upper floor. This is a serious variation. It does not comply with the deemed to comply R codes. And we, as was mentioned, we will need to actually check if it satisfies the design principles. And here, each councillor around the room has a discretion to decide. And I think just trying to educate the public in a way that is actually not correct, I do find it a bit concerning. Exactly as the officers applied their discretion and took their considerations, which I value. Now it is in before us, and now we need to apply our considerations, and that is what the Local Government Act wanted us now to make the decision. We are not rubber stamping anything here. We need to actually apply the discretion under the planning rules. And it is my view that there is setback 1.2 metre instead of 4 metre does not satisfy the R codes, and it definitely does not meet the Maylands residential estate design policy provisions. Let's move to the side setback. Again, here another variation that I do not think 1.5 metre setback in the for the side, one of the sides where the rules say 4 metres. Again, we need to apply discretion, and every council will decide what they think is best. But we do have a discretion here, exactly as the officers had, and it is my view that it does not meet the policy and it does not satisfy the RCODE's design principles. There are several more issues, but I do want to highlight the policy, the Maylands Residential Estates Design Policy, because this is not an old policy. That policy was actually ratified just half a year ago in April by the Policy Committee and later on by the Council. The officers recommended back in April, and this is all public, to revoke the Maylands Residential Estates Design Policy, which includes the requirements for different estates in Maylands and includes the Peninsula Estate. And the Policy Committee, and I chaired it, we had a discussion around this. And it was made clear at the Policy Committee that we see the merit to keep those requirements for the last lots left to be built for all those estates. And it was supported unanimously also by you, Councillor Leder. And then later on, it came to the council meeting and again supported unanimously. I would have preferred that if councillors do not want to apply or get even close to the requirements of the policy, then they should have actually go ahead and revoke it. In that case, residents would have known there was a consultation process. They would have known that the council is not behind those requirements anymore. But once we have a local planning policy, which is quite a serious policy, to be considered as part of the planning framework, and this is not a variation of 20 centimeters. I went through hundreds of planning applications during my time, and I supported a lot of variations. This is a two variations that I just mentioned, more than 50% variation. This is not 10 centimeter, on a setback. We're talking about more than 50% towards the lakes. So just on that basis, I do not feel comfortable, and I think there is enough base here to oppose it. And I do want to thank all the residents who took the time, and I know that many of them were concerned, and they really digged into the details, which we usually do not see, and I think that was in light of their deep concerns.
Thank you. Anyone?
Can I ask some questions in
Yes, you
response
can.
to that? There are a few things that I don't think were correct. Does this proposal include variations?
Thank
Is that
you.
term accurate?
I'll go to the director to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. So the term variation is not appropriate for the R codes and the way that R codes currently works. You have the deemed to comply pathway, and the R codes in one section in the explanatory part of part A uses the word depart. So if it doesn't meet the deemed to comply, then you can assess against the design principles. But the word variation is not used.
Thank you. And I heard the Deputy Mayor talk about 1.2 metre setbacks and 1.5 metre setbacks. Is that correct?
I'll go to the director to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I can verify there is a design principle assessment for a 1.5 metre setback on the first floor for Unit 2, and that is mentioned in the report in terms of the design principle assessment, where the normal requirement or the deemed to comply standard is 3 metres. But the 1.2, I don't know where that's come from, and I need to seek clarification.
Okay. Thank you. And can I also get some clarification around the standing of the policy, the Maylands residential
I'll go
design
to
state
the
policy?
director to respond.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. The way the planning framework operates is the council has its planning scheme, and reference to that is the R codes. And the R codes is the primary statutory instrument that all residential development is assessed. The city also, or the council also has local planning policies, which the Maylands residential, I'll get the right language. It's the Maylands Residential Estates Design Policy is one of multiple local planning policies that the council has as part of its planning framework. So that is a policy. It's a due regard document. It's not a thou must and thou shall type document. And the R codes are the primary statutory instrument, and they're a code which sits above a local planning policy in terms of statutory weight that a decision maker is required to have regard to.
Thank you. One last one. I heard the Deputy Mayor say that this design doesn't get close to that policy. Could you explain in what ways the application departs from the policy?
I'll go to the director to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So yes, this application has been assessed in accordance with the policy. It meets all of the requirements of the policy, with the exception of the first floor and loft for the 4 metre setback to the lake. So the ground floor meets the 4 metre setback, but it's just those cantilevered portions. And I did send some information through to councillors by way of email. There's a total area of 29.8 square metres across the 722 square metre site that is less than 4 metres, and I would consider that to be very minor in terms of floor area that is less than 4 metres from in setback.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't think we have much discretion to reject. I think discretion would probably be financially irresponsible. There's a financial risk to the city for going to SAT, probably up to 6 figures, but I think Councillor Ladder's motion is fairly balanced. Her comments about the integrity of the planning process, I think, was especially important. We can't just reject because we want to be popular with residents. I think the officers have been pragmatic and proven correct with their recommendations as far as the codes go.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, I just want to make some comments on this. Look, it has been difficult, and I do appreciate all the residents that reached out through emails and also coming here last week and this week. It's been a vexing time for them, and I do understand, but having been a bit battle-worn, we've had a few of these go through to SAT before, and I was reminded it does cost a lot of money for us to do that, and if there's no grounds for us to not pass this, it's going to get across, and then we're going to pay more money. Just on the structural engineer's report, it does confirm that the wall can access the proposed development, and the geotech report is a requirement of the building permit, which is subsequent stage to the development application. So I'm pretty sure that will hold up. I do, in terms of parking issues and the undergrowth, I think if nothing else, the undergrowth would be something that's brought in a spotlight, so that's something we can do. It's one good thing that's come out of this, but I think it's a great proposal. Thanks to Councillor Ladder for bringing this up, and I can't see how we can refuse this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you. I don't know that I have many more things to say. I do want to thank residents for their engagement over it. One of the things that I love dearly about the Maylands ward is how engaged residents are and how willing they are to come and express their points of view to council. I think it's really important that they do so. I hope that that they are reassured by this additional limb, this additional condition, and I do hope that once it's built, you have some new excellent neighbours.
I'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Latta, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? Deputy Mayor, that is carried. Okay, so we'll now move on to the next item, which is, so that concludes the items that were subject to deputations, and we'll now move to consideration of the other reports in section 10 that have been withdrawn by councillors, and we begin with 10.1.1 Economic Development Strategy. Councillor Latta, you've pulled this with an alternative that you've supplied.
Yes.
So councillors, you've been supplied with this.
I have, since the run sheet, I have just added the words that are in red, publish and implement actions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I have a seconder? Councillor McDonald, Councillor Latta.
Thank you. So I have asked the city to add in a new strategic priority under objective 4.3.1 to promote a sustainable and circular economy. And the reason why I've done that is because sustainability and the UN Sustainable Development Goals are quite prominent in the economic development strategy, in the explanatory material at the front. And I wanted to see that reflected in the actual strategy driving the actions that the city takes. I think it's very clear that we are at a very interesting moment around economic development. This is a 10-year strategy. I think that the way that we think about economic development has had to change significantly in the last decade or so, thinking about sustainability of our inputs and where all of our outputs goes. So this, this particular alternative gives us an opportunity to continue to do that over the course of the next 10 years of the strategy. It doesn't specify any particular outcomes. I'm sure that the city has things that they were already working on, as well as things that they wanted to work on. And hopefully they will have an opportunity to do that over the course of this strategy. I think it's prudent to be thinking about economic development in a more holistic way, not just about driving money and investment, but also using that investment responsibly and thinking about our place in the community as businesses and commercial operations. I also think that there's a huge opportunity through the commercial sector to reduce emissions and reduce waste. Actually, commercial waste is a really big part of the waste that the district produces, and since the city and council decided to no longer support city-run commercial waste services, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't lose sight of the fact that commercial waste is a part of the waste from our district. I think that overall the economic development strategy presents a really good opportunity to affirm the city's commitment to economic development in the city of Bayswater. I think that it is an area that could do with more resourcing from the city, and I look forward to having those discussions during the business planning process.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apologies. Point number 2 is particularly important to me. Sorry about that. Yeah, point number 2 is particularly important just from a small business point of view and driving some of, being able to drive the initiatives that come out of the plan. So the plan is great. Last week, some of the questions were answered really well about how we would be able to impact what we see in the plan in the future, because it's a bit nerve-wracking to vote on a 10-year plan, and not quite know what the objectives are. So I thought they lacked maybe a little, but I appreciate it is a very high-level plan. So point number 2 in particular to me is great, and I will second and support the motion so that we have a bit of an ability to bump things to the top of the list that we want to see from particularly small business, which obviously drives the economic strategy to begin with. Just things like vacancy activations for the town centre, streamlined business approvals and such. So certainly support, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Deputy Mayor?
Yes. First of all, thank you to the officers. A lot of work. I know it's been a long process to get to this stage, and I thank the officers, and I think previously we had some consultants as well, to reach to this milestone. It reads very well. I'll be consistent with my concerns that I raised about the access and inclusion plan that also did not have any actions in it or as part of it, even not for 1 year. And this one does not have those any actions as well, and I am concerned about that. When I'm talking about actions, you know, I wouldn't expect having actions for 10 years. I would expect at least to have something publicly available as part of this document for the next 2-3 years. I think this is what local businesses and the residents expect. I know that this is what they expected for the access and inclusion plan, and they will expect here as well. I don't think any local business owner will have much to do with this, and I personally also probably, once it's printed, I will shelve it because I didn't read here anything that will really measurable, and I will read some of the comments that residents gave us as part of the consultation, which I do not think were taken into account. Current strategy plans are too general, lacking actionable steps. Lack of specificity may explain why Bayswater appears run down and behind in development. Plans should highlight concrete initiatives to make progress tangible. A different person. Council should prioritise tangible improvements to town centres' amenities over more strategy documents. I really agree with that. Goals are unclear and not measurable. Progress and efficiency cannot be tracked. Accountability is limited. Unfortunately, I do agree with that point. I think that strategy plan, whatever you call it, could have actually benefited significantly by having another 1 page at the very least, with some actions attached to the strategy, not something that will be internal document or will be published after every budget. I want to know that we have those actions in a transparent way, that they can be tracked by us and by the public, by businesses and those stakeholders who are interested. So on that basis, I will not support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Sutherland?
I don't know. I'm actually like that at the moment, but I'm probably more against. Quite funny that a question that was asked earlier about the sustainability goals, because I actually asked that to Alex today. What is the point of putting those in? And I suppose from a high level I can understand that because they're aspirational goals. But I would too like to see something a bit more tangible. I suppose we've got to have something there to see what we want to do, but at the moment I would rather go deeper down. We talk about sustainability. We've got the industrial area that's just a mess at the moment, and they need, it's still on septic tanks and things there are not looking too good, and there's nothing in there about this, and to me it's just a word fest, so I'm probably not going to support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Oh, you seconded. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll say a few words just to address some of the comments. So, and I'm going to say this because I know that we have a few new four. It's equal tonight, 4 new councillors and 4 longer term councillors. So I'm just going to address some of the comments around the questions around actions not being included and how we got to this place as a council. So in the past, council would adopt all these high-level strategies that include all these action plans, but there's no budget. There's no decisions on what in the actions are going to be prioritised. It's like this document and then council would change and they don't have the same priorities, and people would sit there and go, oh, there's all these actions and what have you done? And we haven't done anything. It could get to that stage. So administration came back and said, that's not best practice. What's best practice to do is to have these higher level strategies that set out, the higher level direction for our economic development. And then through our business-led planning process, which is best practice, we will then go and allocate each financial year what actions are going to fall under that, and then council needs to budget for those actions. So what you're doing is you're adopting the business plan and then accounting for to be able to implement that with budget allocations. And that's where the transparency happens. And that's what I believe Councillor Ladder's amendment is trying to be very clear, that these will be published and implemented actions will be public. The actions will be published after the budget is adopted, because then what's the point of having actions if you can't fund them? And that's what's happened in the past. And we're moving forward. We're moving into a contemporary governance model across this city. And that's why we're doing it this way. So it's not saying that there will not be actions. There certainly will be actions once council approves to budget for those actions. So that's where it goes. And for that basis, I just want to thank the work. This has been a long time coming, and we've had it in draft for so many years, and I'm so happy that we're able to actually finally publish a strategy. There's been a lot of work on it. There was a lot of consultation, and it might not be perfect for everybody, and there might be bits and pieces that everyone wants to change, but this is a big step forward for this organisation and for this council, and I am very proud to be able to support adoption of this tonight. So I'll go to the mover to close.
Thank you. I just want to note a couple of things. Firstly, credit to Don for LIM 2, because it was the questions that you asked at the agenda briefing forum and conversations that we subsequently had that led to the inclusion of that in line with what we have done with other plans. And I want to also reiterate that when the Deputy Mayor says that no actions means no accountability and that it's not transparent, I actually think that the previous system had those issues. When council adopts an action plan, you go to the community is so excited, aren't you legends, you've just done this amazing action plan, but actually you don't have any way to deliver that action plan because you haven't funded it yet, and you can't commit a future council. Even next year's budget process, you can't commit to that yet. You have to do that year on year. And so actually a transparent process involves not setting community expectations at a level where you do not yet know if you can meet them, but funding what you can and what you support through the budget process, having those negotiations, fighting for the things that you want to see have more resourcing, and publishing what has been funded, because that is the real actions that the city can do. When you don't do that, actually it's not transparent, because it looks like you have just approved a whole bunch of actions that may never happen. They literally may never happen. And the public is left with a sour taste in their mouth because we set an expectation that we are not able to deliver. So I think that actually this system significantly improves the understandability of our process, community engagement and trust in that process, and it still involves publishing and making clear, making those commitments to what we have funded every year. And it's on us as councillors to make sure that the things that we say we're going to fund, we fund. I also want to just point out that the industrial area is specifically mentioned in the economic development strategy, and that those priorities also form part of thinking about sustainability, waste, inputs and outputs, as well as other elements within the strategy. I think that that's a very important part of how we can develop contemporary economic development within the city. I also want to congratulate the officers on all of the work that they have put into this over a very long period of time. Thank you.
I'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Latta, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against is Councillor Sutherland and the Deputy Mayor. That is carried. Okay, we'll now go to the next one, which is 10.3.1, the Play Space Plan Review 2025 to 2028. Councillor Black, you've pulled this. Are you moving the officer's recommendation?
The officer's recommendation in the supplementary agenda.
In the addendum?
Yes.
Yep. Seconded Deputy Mayor. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very pleased to move this and to see these additions made to the Play Space Plan. I think these are fantastic additions that considers all age groups that may be using our playgrounds, in addition to play equipment materials as well. Just speaking more holistically on the Play Space Plan, of course I wasn't a councillor when this was first devised. I think it's an excellent thing that for the council to have. I think play connects all of our community. It provides a space for all kids of all ages and people of all ages to our playgrounds, our reserves, our nature experiences, our foreshore, and it's great that the city takes this very seriously and then assesses how we are tracking with our play spaces in the city as well. Just referring to the officer's report here as well, that the 10-year plan will be developed in the upcoming few years as well. Given that this is just an update to the current plan, I'm very much looking forward to what that 10-year plan can look like and how we engage the community in forming that plan as well. As a new councillor and a new father as well, with a second one on the way, I think it's really exciting to see how much my children will grow up in this city and how they will engage with our playgrounds and our nature reserves as well, and how we can incorporate things like accessibility considerations as well, and making sure that we have the right playgrounds for the right places to assess for our population growth and density as well. I just want to highlight two other things, or at least one other thing in the two things from the current plan as well that I think are really important. One of them is the shade aspect. You see a lot of play equipment not under shade, whether it's natural or erected through a shade sale or otherwise. I think it's great that we are looking at that as part of this plan, and we are assessing that and making sure that we do have shade in the for our play spaces. Another one is the access and inclusion, and I only raised this because it was only last Friday I was present at the Durham Road School graduation, where it was wonderful to see 15 kids graduate from their Year 6 class. And some of the teachers and some of the senior staff there spoke to me about the importance of having accessibility and inclusion within our play spaces. And I think this is something that the city should, and I think does, take seriously as part of our approach as well. And I think that's a role that we can all play as councillors, especially in regards to Inclusive Bayswater Advisory Group, our Disability Advisory Group as well. Something that they did raise in particular was the addition of the augmented and alternative communication devices that we are seeing in some of our play areas, especially in our district and regional parks. I think it's a fantastic addition that provides children and people of all abilities be able to communicate with their peers and with their carers as well in a very low cost way. I think that's important as a city to have that as part of our approach. I'd be keen to explore how we can further expand our play space plan in the near future when we assess for a full comprehensive review. But I'm really excited to see that we are adding these small additions to the play space plan to make sure that we are starting to address things now and then looking forward into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations on your happy news of the second pregnancy.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I just realised I've just announced it to the council.
Okay.
So there we go. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Black, for those comments. I agree. I feel quite attached to this place-based strategy. You know, it's been a long journey with this one. It's been 7 years. I think 7 years, yes, since I proposed the SHADE program to be included as part of this strategy, and it has made a significant impact on many playgrounds all around the city, seeing other having more shade cells than we had previously before in the city of Bayswater, or alternatively seeing the trees planted very close to or closer to the playgrounds. I had a lot of discussions with the city, encouraged them not to plant them far away, close to the children. And I think we, you know, after so long, I'm very pleased with the progress that I'm seeing. In 2022, last time we discussed it, I also, council supported 2 changes that I pushed as part of this, which I'm very happy and thank the officers that in the addendum they now included it officially. This is what I requested last week. The first one is to ensure that we are catering for different age group. This is something that I hear a lot from residents. We do in the city of Bayswater have a lot of playgrounds that are more suitable for toddlers and probably under 8 or 7 years old. We are still lacking with the older age playgrounds, and I understand it's a funding issue. So it's important to me that we will be consulting more and hear the feedback and apply it when we can. But at least it will be a consideration. The other issue is the materials that, again, I'm happy now it is actually a part of the strategy to ensure that the city is actively thinking about the materials. When I proposed that motion in 2022, it happened after seeing the great playground at Gibney Reserve, the redevelopment, but we have a metal slide under no shade at all. And I just came back from being with my kids at that playground and no child touched that slide. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that it is there, and now it is there specifically around metal and other materials, that it is a consideration, that if we are applying specific material, we're also considering where to put them. And I'll just highlight the last thing is that this strategy, what I do also like in this strategy, that we have actions. Page 43, lots of recommended actions, and that is nice to see having that part of a strategy where we can see the more lower level and how the strategy applies to that. And that I find it very useful for me and to the public. I know I refer lots of residents to that when they're asking me, when is my playground, neighborhood playground will be replaced? I refer them to this document. So I know that residents do find it useful. Thank you again to the officers.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? I'll just speak for. I just want to address the last comment from the Deputy Mayor. It's not a strategy. This is a play space plan. Therefore, it's a different document to a strategy in terms of the actions being included. But other than that, agree with both the comments from the mover and the seconder. And I think we have excellent play spaces in the city of Bayswater, and they're just going to get better and better. Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, I want to add to that too. I think this is great to see. I also want to pick up on what Councillor Peterson-Pick said about the older kids. I do worry about that because basketball, all those sporting things, obviously people have got to pay to come to clubs. But just on that, I did read, and I know that the state government is looking at maybe reopening schools again. I know it might not be now, but in the future, to accommodate things like basketball courts, tennis courts and that. And I think if that happens, that will be a great thing to see with the council, because I just can't get my head around seeing big fences with basketball courts on the other side. And I think there should be a way that they can bring that open. It makes it easier for us. We don't have to supply more basketball courts, and I'm saying that because it is such a need for it here in this city. But other than that, I think this is a great policy. Well, I won't say that. Great document.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ladder?
Thank you. I just want to say I think it's a great plan. I'm happy that the city is moving forward with all of the play spaces that are slated for this financial year coming up. I also want to say that I have been reading lots of interesting research recently around how to consider gender in play spaces and thinking particularly about the needs and desires of older girls, which are quite different to what we assume all kids want from a playground. And one of the things, I'm not going to try and amend it or require it, but that I would like the city to take on board and consider is actually engaging with young people themselves when we are thinking about particularly the bigger playgrounds and the inputs that we get. We get a lot of inputs from parents, but we don't necessarily engage with the actual users of those playgrounds. And I think that we could probably get some really good information that could guide some exciting ideas in this space. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To close, I'd just like to also thank the city officers as well in the deliberation of this item and for their work towards the review of this play space plan. I think excellent work there. I'd also like to thank the Deputy Mayor for his comments as well. I didn't realise that he may have preempted some of those supplementary agenda. I apologise if I took your thunder there, especially. But thank you for those comments as well, and I think they're great additions. I think I agree with the Mayor in her comments as well in regards to, I think we have excellent play spaces. I think we want to maintain our play spaces and ensure that they remain excellent. That's something that's very important to me, not just as a father, but for all the many families in our district as well. We have fantastic play spaces that are not just available and accessible, but they are free. And when I say free, I was only at the Maylands Water Park. Waterland, thank you very much for those more familiar with it. I only just went there for the first time a week or two ago, and I know it's my first time, but now I have a daughter, I can actually, she can enjoy it. She did get sprayed with water a lot, but the point is that I found that to be an incredibly important space for families within our district, given that it is a free, accessible, and incredibly popular venue for our families. It was completely chock-a-block full of people that day. It was a beautiful summer's day. These are the sorts of things that make our city an excellent place to live and why people move to the city of Bayswater as well. That's my belief in that. I also want to agree with Councillor Ladder's comments in regards to expanding how we can make sure that everyone gets to play. Maybe that could be the name of a review of some sort. Everyone gets to play in our playgrounds and in our nature reserves and in our foreshore areas and everywhere where we consider a play space. I think making sure that inclusion is always there, accessibility is always there. Maybe that could be the work of some of the committees over the next 2 years where we may find ourselves on, and we can have those discussions, especially with youth as well in that target area. But I'm excited to see where that next stage of that plan looks like in the next few years, and hopefully I can be part of that council and help shape that as well.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so no one's pulled this, but it requires an absolute majority. It is 10.5.1.2.7, elected member entitlements. Do I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Ladder. Councillor Black, anything?
Just some very quick comments, Madam Mayor. Some of the amendments that came through from the policy review just include some provisions where a pro rata amount was provided for training purposes, that if a councillor, for example, were to only be elected for a very small period of time, that they still were entitled to the amount required to complete their mandatory training under the Act. Just in case of future-proofing, in case the price of those courses do go up, that councillors, newly elected councillors, are not who may not have the means to do so, pay that upfront. They are still provided the opportunity to complete their training that is mandatory under the Act. And that's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ladder, anything? Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, I'm not supporting it only through because of superannuation. I don't agree that councillors should get paid that, and I just can't, so I won't be supporting it.
Thank you.
Won't make any difference, but...
Anyone wish to speak for? Deputy Mayor?
A question, if I can, through you, Madam Mayor. Isn't superannuation a statutory requirement at the moment?
I'll go to the Manager of Governance to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, superannuation is a requirement to be paid to elected members, but elected members may opt out of receiving the payment.
Thank you.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll go the mover to close. Nothing. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against is Councillor Sutherland. That is carried. The next one that has been pulled in, Councillor Black, you have a indirect financial interest. You need to leave. Is item 10.5.1.3.1, the new local planning policy, short-term rental accommodation and guidelines. Councillor Latta, you've pulled this one. Are you moving officer's recommendation? Oh, sorry, committee recommendation?
Yes.
The committee's recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a seconder? Councillor McDonald, Councillor Latta.
Thank you. I did and ah about putting in an additional amendment to this. I'm not sure that the zones are adequate. I'm interested in striking a good balance within the city and not having every single short-term rental application having to come to council to be assessed. I think that that's a waste of time when we don't necessarily have discretion around them. But I do think that I'm happy for this to be implemented and for us to see how it goes. I'll be inquiring with the city over the next 12 to 18 months to get some numbers around how the policy is being implemented and what impact it has. And if it isn't doing what I think it will, then I will take steps to either bring it back for review or bring it back to council to consider it. So I do think that we might need to tweak it in the future, but given that we haven't had a policy like this, I am okay with seeing how it goes. I am not against short-term rental accommodation. I do think that there's a balance to be struck within our district. I think that short-term accommodation provides a particular service to people that can be really useful, but I'm also mindful that we are within a housing crisis. Many of the properties that people will look to invest in for short-term rentals, they are competing against people who want a home and want their forever home, and those people are being priced out of the market because there are so many investors. I think that we can see how this goes and see if the balance is right, and if it's not right, we can review.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I mean, we're in a housing crisis. We need to build more homes and limit Airbnbs. Simple as that.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak against? I have a few questions because I wasn't at the policy committee where this was considered, and there's obviously a change by the committee to the recommendation from the officers. So I'd like to ask some questions. The map that was initially proposed by the officers, Alex, if I could direct my questions to you, please. In the initial one. So I believe that what the committee recommended is a scaled down version. Which is obviously different to what the officers recommended. So my question to you is, given that we're going out to advertise, so nothing's being adopted yet, all we're doing is going out to advertise, is it possible to go out to advertising with two options and ask the question from community which option they prefer.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's not standard practice to go out with two options on a policy. Council does need to endorse a policy to advertise. That's not to say that we couldn't structure the survey questions to the public so that I guess you get the feedback that you're looking for, where it's, is this an appropriate option, or should it be a wider catchment area for the preferred areas?
Okay. Okay. Do we know of any other local governments who've already adopted a policy and how this compares?
Yes, I don't know the local governments off the top of my head, but I do know that other local governments have endorsed similar policies with preferred areas. We've used those policies as a basis for ours in development. I can find out that information and provide it to councillors if needed.
Do you know, with policies like this that allow some owners to do some things with their properties and some aren't allowed to do it based on geographical discretion of council, is that legally challengeable?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the policy, as I guess was mentioned earlier, is just a due regard document. It doesn't say that you can't have short-term accommodation outside of the preferred areas. It just means that you have to go through a more rigorous process and that it might take a little bit longer, or you have to justify it further than you would if you were in the preferred locations.
And do you mind just answering what the officer's rationale was when preparing the initial proposed locations or preferred locations?
Yeah, so the original locations were based on our local planning strategy, and they are the areas which were identified by the state government for higher density into the future. They are our activity centres, our activity corridors and station precincts. This was, I guess, from a planning basis, we were using that state government focus in these areas as a justification for why they should be more mixed use and accommodating this different type of land use.
Okay. That's all my questions for now. Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, just a few comments as I proposed what you have on the table at the policy committee, so perhaps it will help you to better understand for those who were not there. We had a long discussion on this item, and councillors at the policy committee looked into different options. What I propose here is to minimize what I thought was too broad, and as the manager explained, it does not limit having short-term accommodation in anywhere in the city. It just means that the city will go a lengthier process to ensure, for example, what the impacts on the neighbours. Several months ago, when we discussed a proposal to impose higher rates on short-term accommodation, I opposed it. I didn't think that that was the right pathway. I didn't think it was something we should consider. And at that stage, I said, I am interested to review how we approach short-term accommodation as part of the policy and as part of the locations. And I think that what we have here is a good starting point. What we focused here is on the town centres and around the train stations. What the officers initially proposed, matching our, as you had the community, so I forgot the name. Sorry, how do you refer the local planning strategy, sorry. And I think others who supported it did not see the relevance from that and short-term accommodation. Perhaps that was a starting point, which I understand that, but I think there is strong merit to support short-term accommodation, and there is very strong merit to support short-term accommodation because there are many, many benefits that those owners who provide those essentially services to so many people in our area and beyond, but they should be first of all, around the town centres to support where we have the support, we have the businesses, where we have the public transport, and hopefully there will be less impact on quieter residential areas that might not, it might not be appropriate to have this transient, if you want, character or approach of what we see with short-term accommodation. So that is what we propose here, and I thought it's a good step forward, and we will see if it works. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this?
Yeah, I'll just
Councillor
make
Pittaway?
it brief. I also supported these changes. I thought it was a good first step in just sort of minimising the potential impact that this could have on widening and broadening that scope. So I think these are relevant. I think they're pragmatic, and I think the community will sort of be appreciative in certain areas of our city that we are not just going too broad with this policy. So I think this is a good first step, and I think there's always potential for more scope on it. But I think this is a reasonable and fair approach to what was made as a recommendation by the officers.
Thank you. Can I just ask the manager one more question? Do local governments have to have a policy?
Through you, Madam Mayor, no, we aren't required to have a policy. It makes it easier for the assessment of these applications, as there is no guidance in any other document.
Okay. And can a local government, for instance, have a policy that says there's no short-term rental?
Technically, you could have a policy that says that. However, the state government has, required all local governments to introduce short-term accommodation into our town planning schemes. And as a part of that scheme amendment process, has been working with local governments to identify whether they're a permitted use or a discretionary use. The advice that we've received is that you cannot prohibit it through the scheme. So it would be most likely be against the scheme if you were to try to do so.
So it has to be discretionary?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm really torn on this one. I don't know if I've actually got a formed a view myself around short-term accommodation. Because I guess you can look at it both ways. As a property owner, do you want to have the choice to do that with your property or not? Or as a property owner, do you want to prohibit other people from having that choice who live on your street? So you can look at it from two perspectives, I suppose. The only thing I'd say about this amended map is that, firstly, I can't really see it that well in my documents, but from what I don't know, maybe someone else can help me answer these. I don't think I can see anywhere. We do have a hospital in the city of Bayswater, and I've made comments before that I think, particularly now that it's going to become a public hospital as well, that's probably an area of demand where people may need some short-term accommodation, and there's nothing around that area where people can get that, can access that. So I'm surprised to see that that wasn't included in this map, given, the patronage that a hospital receives for short periods of time. So that's surprising. So yeah, I'm not sure where I sit on this yet. Anyone else wish to speak on this who hasn't spoken? Oh, Councillor Pittaway, have you got a question?
Just on Madam Mayor, I just wanted to bring up, I think at the time, I may be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure I was right. I think the announcement of that St John of God in Mount Lawley was after we had that policy meeting, if I'm correct.
Oh, okay.
So that came later, if that's
Yeah.
fair to point out. Also, just to point out...
Sorry, you have spoken on the item, so unless you've got a question,
No.
I can't. Okay. Anyone? Councillor Sutherland.
So this is going out, obviously, to be looked at. Consultation, yeah. But can I ask, with this, the officers might know this, how many complaints have we had with short-term accommodation?
Thank you. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through Madam Mayor, I'd have to take that on notice, but it is low.
So I don't know, if there's not a problem, I don't know why we have to have this, but anyway, we have it. And I just want to remind people, there was a study done, I don't know if it was last year or about 18 months ago, and quite extensive around, not just in WA, but around Australia, that said there was not a big impact on the shortage of housing and short-term accommodation, because short-term accommodation is a specific thing for different purposes. And as I said before, and it was a good pickup about the hospital, people come down from the country, they want to stay there, their friends or family are in hospital, they can't afford hotels, etc. It's not just, you know, people going into a short-term accommodation and partying for the whole week or whatever. So I think I don't even know why we've got this, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Would anyone else like to speak to this? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you. Look, I think this is a starting point. It's the first time we've had a short-term rental accommodation policy and guidelines. Send it out for public comment and take that feedback on board. I had forgotten also about the hospital, and I would be willing to look at that. I think it's too late as a closer, but when it comes back, I think that that's probably something that we should look at, and possibly there will be feedback about that. I think this is a starting point. There are other things that I'm interested in finding out if we end up adopting this policy as time goes on. I want to know that it is not overly burdensome on staff having to run with so much of the area outside of those things. And I think that's something that we should keep an eye on and review if it doesn't seem to be working appropriately. But I'm interested in getting feedback from the public on this and seeing what people think.
Thank you. I'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor Councillor McDonald. All those against, Councillor Sutherland and myself. That is carried. So we'll get Councillor Black back in. For your information, Councillor, that was carried with 5 for and 2 against. The officer's recommendation. The committee's recommendation. Okay, so no one's pulled this, but we need to vote on it because there's a couple of impartial disclosures or interests. So it's 10.5.1.3.2, the new local planning policy childcare premises. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Latta. Councillor Black, anything? Councillor Latta, anything? Anyone wish to speak on this? I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so we'll now move to adopt the remaining items in section 10 en bloc. Can I have a mover and seconder? Moved Councillor Sutherland, seconded Councillor Black. All those in favour? All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. Item 11 is notices of motion, and there are none this evening. Item 12, questions from members without notice. Are there any questions? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question from me this evening. I've received a couple of reports from residents just in regards to verge tree health in our suburbs. Just concerned in regards to watering of these trees, or if they are in quite low health. Can I just receive an update from the city just to confirm or to allay some of those concerns from residents in regards to our watering programs, if there's been any interruption or any increase in our current watering?
Are they
days?
new verge trees or are they
Existing verge trees, Madam
more
Mayor.
than 3 years old?
Yes, they are, yeah. I believe so.
Okay. So I'll go to the director, acting director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through the chair. In terms of the new trees, the watering is extensive. There's 4, we have 2 contractors plus in-house trucks as well, watering trucks, that establish those trees from 1 to 3, 4 years. In terms of the existing or established trees, so we are watching them a bit more differently, and what we're finding that, yes, if we find that they're under stress, and we're noticing that some people are dropping off with their verge watering because of water restrictions and costs, and so we do watch those, and we then utilise our internal watering trucks to supplementary watering of those existing trees. So we are aware of it and we are watching it, and in particularly trees that are of more of a substantial nature, and so they do have a little bit of a hierarchy that they're finding trees under stress. So yes, we're aware of it and we are moving through it.
Thank you.
And I'll just add to that I would encourage the residents, if it's on their verge, to also assist the city with watering. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes, I have a question with regards to the Maylands Interpretation Centre, a city building at the end of the peninsula. How often is it open and does it operate in accordance with the lease?
I'll go to
Happy to take it
the
on
acting
notice.
director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the chair, I'll have to take that on notice and get back to the councillor.
Thank you.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Councillor Ladder?
Thank you. I wanted to ask through the Mayor if the city could provide some public clarification around what actions have been taken since there was a near miss of a student near the corner of Kelvin and Susan Street outside the Maylands Peninsula Primary School, and had some conversations with the CEO about it at the time, and I just wanted to, for residents and the P&C who raised it, to be able to hear it from the city.
I'll go to the CEO to respond.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. So I did have a conversation with Councillor Latter in relation to that, and subsequently had some discussions with the acting director in relation to Main Roads identifying some potential funding, and the officers have actually looked to see whether some of the treatments can be relocated or additional treatments can be put in place near that location to try and mitigate those situations occurring in the future. So we're very confident that we'll be able to do that through that program, Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Black?
Apologies, Mayor. Just one more question. Does the city have an update on the Watley Crescent, Lake Street crossing signalisation? I understand that maybe a few months ago there was an update to council that it's looking to progress that, if my memory serves me correctly, as soon as possible or as soon as practical. I was seeing if there was an update to that progress through engagement with Main Roads, or if the city has other updates.
I'll go to the CEO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm not aware of any updates, but if I can take that on notice, Councillor Black, then I'll do some inquiries through the acting director tomorrow, and we'll be able to get a response back through to you.
Thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes, I have a question. Has the city already applied for the black spot funding for the proposed pedestrian crossing on Guildford Road? That council allocated some funds.
I'll go to the acting director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the chair, the city has been dealing with Main Roads, and we have had a commitment from Main Roads. We are now just going through the process of finding an ideal location in terms of how it now cross-references with the LTCN, and we've zeroed down to 2 locations, and we're trying to sort of balance those 2 locations out. So, yeah, we're pretty well getting along.
And just to follow up, Mayor, so was the funding already secured or committed through Main Roads?
I'll go to the acting director.
My understanding is that if we put one in, put a submission in, that they would support it. But
Okay.
we would then have to look at that, and I think it's on the Forward Capital Works program as well.
Okay.
That's coming.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Pittaway?
Madam Mayor, thank you. I just want to ask a question because I was going through the footpath policy. Do we actually have a set width, or are there variations that we can make within those widths that are proposed at times of motions?
I'll go to the acting director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through the chair. So there are obviously ideals, and then there's absolute minimums. So there is flexibility, and we sit in the guidelines of the Austroads guidelines and their guidelines, and they do have absolute minimums. And obviously we have preferences, and so we work through that, and there is some flexibility through there.
Any other questions, councillors? No? Okay, so now move to item 13, which is new business of an urgent nature, and there is none this evening. Item 14 is meeting closed to the public. We have 2 items under confidential this evening. Can I have a mover and seconder to go behind closed doors? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Loiacono. All those in favour? That is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? It's the Deputy Mayor. That is carried. If we could please close the doors and cease the live streaming. Thank you, councillors. I will close this evening's meeting at 9:48 p.m. Thank you.